For decades, we've pretty much relied on a simple formula to get people to perform, right? Dangle a carrot for good work and, show the stick for bad. But what if that entire playbook is, well, just outdated? Especially for the kind of creative, problem-solving work that defines everything we do now. That's the big question we're going to dig into.
I mean, really think about it for a second. We use this model everywhere, from sales commissions to annual bonuses. But in a world that is screaming for innovation, are these old-school tools actually smothering the very creativity we need to survive? It's a huge, huge question, and today, we're going to unpack it by looking at some pretty fascinating research and some real-world examples.
So, the heart of the issue is this massive shift in what work even means. The old model, which author Daniel Pink calls Motivation 2.0, was perfect for the industrial age, for routine, algorithmic tasks where you just follow a set of instructions, like a recipe. But so much of our work today is what he calls heuristic. It's creative, it's conceptual, and there is no recipe. And that's exactly where the whole carrot and stick thing just starts to fall apart, sometimes in a really big way.
Okay, so if the old playbook is broken, what's the new one? Well, for a lot of people, the answer came from Daniel Pink's mega bestseller, Drive. He makes the case for a total rethinking of motivation, one that's actually built for this new world of creative work.
Now, Pink tackles the money question in a really smart way, right at the start. See, this isn't about paying people less. It's actually the opposite. He says step one is you have to pay people enough so that money just isn't the main thing they're thinking about all day. You get that baseline of fairness right, get the money issue off the table, and then you can tap into the real drivers of performance.
So, once money is no longer a distraction, what's left? Well, Pink points to three incredibly powerful internal motivators. First, there's autonomy, that fundamental human need to be in the driver's seat of our own lives. Then you've got mastery, that urge to get better and better at stuff that actually matters to us. And finally, there's purpose, the feeling that what we do serves something bigger than just ourselves. These three things, he argues, are the true engines of engagement and creativity.
But here's where we're going to peel back another layer. Pink's ideas, as brilliant as they are, didn't just pop out of thin air. Drive is a fantastic way of explaining decades of serious, deep academic research. So let's look under the hood at the original science.
And that bedrock science is a hugely influential model called self-determination theory, or SDT for short. It was developed by two psychologists, Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. Their life's work is really the beating heart of Drive, and it's all about how we're motivated not just by external stuff, but by this internal drive for meaning and growth. And this chart just lays it out perfectly. When you put the two frameworks side by side, you can see the family resemblance right away. Pink's autonomy lines up exactly with SDT's autonomy. Mastery is a super close cousin to competence. But look at that last one. Pink talks about purpose, but the original theory from Deci and Ryan talks about relatedness. Now, this might seem like just a word swap, but it's a really important shift in focus.
Yeah, and this quote from analyst Richard Bound really nails the critique. Relatedness is all about our need to connect with other people, to feel like we belong to a team. By changing it to purpose, some people argue Pink's model becomes a little too focused on the individual. It might downplay the incredibly powerful motivation that comes from being part of a great team and connecting with your colleagues. The point is both are important, but the original theory gives teamwork a more explicit seat at the table.
Okay, so let's shift from theory to practice. How does a company actually put these ideas to work? Especially that big one, autonomy. Well, one of the most famous examples made popular by companies like Atlassian is something they call a FedEx Day. The whole idea is just so simple and powerful. For 24 hours, you give your employees total freedom. They can work on anything they want with anyone they want. The only catch? Just like the shipping company, they have to deliver something. A prototype, a new idea, a better process by the next day. It's like a shot of pure autonomy straight to the arm. And the results can be just amazing. This is Paul Kemper. He was the winner of his company's second FedEx Day. I mean, just look at the pride on his face. These events aren't just feel-good exercises. They produce real, tangible innovations. In his case, the winning project was a platform that could project users' real-time locations onto maps and even into augmented reality. Just incredible. So, for anyone out there thinking, hey, we should try this, the Source white paper gives some really practical advice. First, book the time on the calendar months in advance so it's protected. Then, have a kickoff meeting a few weeks before so people can pitch ideas and form teams. You have to be super strict about the 24-hour time limit. And maybe most important, make the final presentations a celebration, not some high-pressure judgment day.
So we've got this popular theory. We know its academic roots, and we have a cool real-world example. But this all brings us back to that central, nagging question, what does the science actually say about rewards? Well, a study from Western Michigan University decided to put that question right under the microscope.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? The whole argument against Motivation 2.0 is that these external rewards, things like cash bonuses or even just a good job, can actually backfire, that they can undermine our natural internal motivation and totally crush creativity. This study wanted to see if that was really true. So here's the setup. They took 27 college art students and had them do a series of creative tasks over 16 different sessions. First, they got a baseline for their creative performance. Then they started introducing different rewards that were tied to how well they did. Just praise, just money, or a mix of both.
All right, so what do you think happened? Did the rewards kill creativity, like some theories predict, or did they boost it, like a more traditional view would suggest? The answer was neither. Honestly, the results were genuinely surprising, and they challenge a lot of the simple stories we tell ourselves about motivation.
Let's dive into what the data actually showed us. This is where it all gets really nuanced and interesting because we get to move beyond the simple rewards are good versus rewards are bad shouting match.
Just take a look at this graph. It pretty much tells the whole story. You've got the average creative performance for the baseline, the praise group, and the money group. And you can see there was no big, statistically significant jump for anyone. In fact, if you look at the trend across all 16 sessions for all the groups, performance actually drifted slightly downward. So the big conclusion from the study was this. Neither the money nor the praise had the dramatic effect, positive or negative, that people on both sides of this debate claim. The rewards didn't kill creativity, but they definitely didn't boost it either. Performance just sort of fizzled out over time. So, what does this all mean? It means motivation is way more complicated than we like to admit. It's not a simple case of this works and that doesn't. We've got to move beyond these easy formulas and start thinking more deeply about what really makes us tick. And this brings us right back around, full circle, to the godfathers of self-determination theory. This quote from Deci and Ryan really is the key to the whole thing. It's not about one single reward. It's about the entire context. Does your work environment support your basic human needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness? If it does, you're going to thrive. If it gets in the way of those needs, you won't. It's that simple and that complex. So, here it is. The real takeaway from all of this. Motivation isn't a light switch you can just flip with a bonus or a pat on the back. The context you work in, the type of task you're doing, and whether or not your job lets you feel autonomous, competent, and connected to other people, that is the stuff that really, truly matters. In the end, there's no magic formula. A FedEx day might be a game changer for one company and totally fall flat at another. A bonus might work for one type of task but be a disaster for another. So the real question becomes, instead of searching for some one-size-fits-all answer, isn't it time we started having a more honest, a more nuanced conversation about what actually motivates the people in our own organizations?